What's up, Raider Nation? Welcome back to Vegas Nation First and 10. We are at the cozy confines here at Allegiant Stadium, moments or maybe about a half hour after the Raiders wrapped up their mock game here at Allegiant Stadium in front of about 20,000 fans. It was a pretty festive atmosphere here, to say the least. I'm Vinny Bonsignore. I cover the Raiders for the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Vegas Nation. To my right is my great friend and colleague, Adam Hill. He also covers the Raiders and everything else for the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Vegas Nation. Before we get into everything that we saw today, and it's Saturday here at Allegiant Stadium, just want to remind everybody that all Vegas Nation podcasts, including First and 10, are brought to you by the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Stations, Casinos, STN Sports. And, of course, we always appreciate their assistance and their support. Adam Hill, kind of a festive day here at Allegiant Stadium. Some really good things that we saw, especially from Geno Smith and that Raiders offense, but some down moments as well. There was a significant injury to Lonnie Johnson. I guess we'll just start right there.
I want to start there just because, you said festive a couple of times, and I think it was for the majority of the day, and then it seemed like the air just got sucked out of the place, honestly, after Lonnie Johnson was put on a cart. He was, at the end of a play, just kind of rolled up on, I think Max Crosby and Isaiah Polamalu kind of chasing Raheem Mostert
over each other.
Kind of chasing Raheem Mostert down the field, and then kind of just tripped over. It was not – there's just nothing to the play, really.
Injury.
Just them finishing off a play and not even finishing off with a tackle, just kind of almost getting out of the way. And then, Polamalu's on the ground. Max kind of trips over him, and then they go rolling into Lonnie Johnson. And right away, grabbing for the leg. And Pete Carroll said afterward it was significant.
A lower leg injury?
We all knew that. We could see that. And I thought after that, while there was some good moments for sure, there was an exciting finish to the game, certainly some big plays. I just thought all the festiveness.
I think in the immediate aftermath of it, it kind of got back a little bit as time went on a little bit. But I agree with you from the outset of that injury, there was this was the reminder of what football is all about, and really why. I know fans, it sometimes drives fans crazy, sometimes even coaches, about the protections that they put on players during this time of year. There is no tackling to the ground. There's only a certain amount of practices that are actually in pads, and it's all, let's be honest, to try to preserve players for as long as possible to get through a 17-game schedule plus playoffs, and that's what it's all about. And today was a reminder that you can make all the precautions you want, and there wasn't tackling to the ground today. It got pretty physical out there without question. But
there were some hits.
There were some
tackling.
There were hits for sure, and in particular the offense and defensive lines really got after it today. But you could do all. I remember Joey Bosa told me one time that he got more hurt in non-padded practices than practices because you just take just little edge off of yourself in mentally protecting yourself, and also you're not geared up, as much as you normally are. He goes, so that's where all the nicks and bruises and all the little nasty things that you deal with happen. I'd almost rather be in full pads, but anyway, we digress.
And I also talked to Sincere McCormick after practice, and he kind of pointed out, he's like, for a guy like me who went through a serious injury last year, which was crushing to him and to the team and everybody to watch it, and then all of a sudden to have to rehab all offseason. He said, you look at it and just say, man, I just went through that. That sucks. And he said, but then you realize it's part of the game and move on and you continue practicing, and that's what the Raiders did.
It's literally the next man up, the next moment, and that's how that works. And to add a little bit more, poignancy, I guess, to the situation, we literally talked to Lonnie Johnson yesterday. It's Saturday today, Friday after practice. Lonnie was one of the players that they brought into the tent to speak to us at the podium. Really an interesting guy and an interesting story, and was so determined to kind of stop that merry-go-round that he's been on in his career, where it's been stop after stop. New Orleans, Carolina.
6 different organizations, some of them multiple times in his 7-year career.
Right.
And he signed with the Raiders for a couple of reasons. One is he felt there was an opportunity to make it a long-term home. And he said he just wants, he has a wife and 4 kids. They've had to leave their town every year and go to a new town. And he said, I want to prove it to them. And he said, very importantly, he said, I don't want them to give me a contract. I want to earn a contract.
Right.
Where I can actually stay somewhere for a couple of years, be an important piece, and kind of establish myself. And it felt like he was, honestly.
That's the thing. I was just going to piggyback on that, is that he's been steadily running with the first team offense as a backfiller at safety when they move safety Jeremy Chin down to the slot when they go into their nickel coverage. So when there's the base defense, Jeremy Chin lines up at safety. There's 3 linebackers on the field, 2 cornerbacks, 2 safeties, and then your defensive line. When they go to a nickel look, they'll take usually a linebacker off the field and then move Jeremy Chin down to that slot position, slot cornerback, almost like a second or another linebacker as well. And then they'll bring Lonnie Johnson in to play Jeremy's position, which, by the way, the majority of time that you're playing defense, you're going to probably be in that look.
Oh, yeah.
So he was going to get a lot of playing time. We don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse here and declare him out for the season. Yeah. But we've been around a while as well, and whether it's for the season or for a big chunk of time, it feels like this is going to be a loss that they're going to feel for a while.
Yeah, and look, again, we talked about talking to him, and everybody just kind of, being intrigued by his story and kind of rooting for him. And I got a lot of feedback yesterday from people that said, I didn't even know anything about that guy. I watched his interview, and now he's one of my favorite players, and all of a sudden he's hurt. So let's actually hear a little bit from Lonnie from Friday and get into what he was talking about with his story here being with the Raiders.
I feel like we all overcome a lot of stuff. They've definitely overcome a lot of things with being a star player on his team in Tampa and then getting released in Philly, the situation, how that worked out. With me playing my role on different teams and starting, and then having to go to straight special teams for 3 years, man, straight. And now I got an opportunity to go earn a better contract for myself this year. So, it's just going through stuff like that. You get to talk. His locker right next to mine, so I get to talk to him all the time about just the stuff we've been through. And he told me yesterday, like, man, I want to be on the team with you. I want to play on the team with you. I want to see you out there. So stuff like that just motivates you more.
What about joining this team made you think that this was the place that you could be a launch pad for?
Man, honestly, it was Pete and my coach Rob. Like I said before, he was my coach in New Orleans, and you realize that this is a relationship-based business. So with the relationship that I have with Rob, knowing the way he coaches, knowing the way that he knows the way I played, and he knows the way that I receives information, stuff like that helps me translate my game to the field. I know what I can do, and then I think Pete been trying to chase me for so long, and he finally got an opportunity to put his hands on my game. So everything is just complimenting, and like I said, I get a chance to just earn it and prove that I'm their guy. I never really had the opportunity to show a team. I always been, hey, he's a role player. I got an opportunity to show I'm Pete's guy, I'm Rob's guy, I'm Spike Tech's guy. So that's what I'm here to do.
Can you share with us some of the early interactions you may have had with Pete Carroll and what it was like when he welcomed you here to the team?
Oh man, he just he blew my phone up first when I signed, because I didn't even have his number saved. He was like, "You don't know this number?" And he started ripping me with that, and then he just honestly just was telling me, man, I've been trying to get a hold of you for years, been trying to get you for years, but you just kept going to different other teams and stuff. I was like, well, Pete, man, if you would have threw some more out there, I would have came a long time. I was just playing, but honestly though, Pete's been cool, man. He just told me we're gonna use you a lot, man. I'm gonna give you an opportunity, and that's all I ever wanted. I just wanted an opportunity to show what I can do.
This one's for the Vegas locals and Vegas locals only. STN Sports is the sports betting experience built for you. From the app to the 19 convenient locations across the valley to sign up, bet, and watch your favorite games. And with a massive betting menu and daily odds boost, there are tons of ways to get in the action. Sign up today.
Well, it's Lonnie Johnson on Friday, all filled with optimism and good feeling about what felt like a really good fit here with the Raiders and how he was going to try to capitalize on that, not just for this year, but for the future, for he and his family, and try to kind of stabilize his career. And now there's just great uncertainty again.
Almost ringing in my ears over and over again, too. I just listened to it again, so that's part of why.
Yeah.
But, he was asked what he wants to get out of this mock game. He said he just wants everybody to stay healthy.
Right.
He said, as long as we stay healthy, we're gonna have a good year. And he's the one that goes down, which is just, just a bit of foreshadowing that's just almost haunting.
I know, exactly. And if you watch, there's footage of the play on Twitter and on social media. When I say that he's just just slowing it down, and has no idea what's about ready to come from behind him. I mean, you'd only have to have eyes behind the back of your head to see that coming. It was so unfortunate and such a freak nature, play, but It's why we always say, and players always say, you're literally one play away from either, catastrophe like that, or being in the game because of somebody getting hurt like that. So a tough day for the Raiders in terms of Lonnie Johnson. It overshadowed or cast a shadow on what was otherwise a really good workout today. And just to explain a little bit, this was a mock game. So the Raiders got here. They took a bus over here. We saw the buses outside the stadium for what was kind of a simulated game day, as close to a game day as you could possibly imagine. They had a meeting. They came out here and warmed up just as they would for a normal game. Then they came out here and did all their individuals like they would for a normal game. They did everything pregame as a normal game. They had a halftime. There was actually a halftime.
Toss.
There was a coin toss. It was split up. It was the silver team and the black team. And the silver team was quarterbacked by Geno Smith, and we'll get to Geno Smith in just a little bit. And the black team was quarterbacked by Aiden O'Connell with a little bit of Cam Miller. Miller kind of
at some point they rotated and just went back
Cam
and
Miller
forth.
was like you remember
and then there was possessions where they would start and then just start going the other way.
Yeah.
And then it was a mock game for the most part, but they were definitely working on situations. I'll say there was a point where I was talking to one of our fellow media people, and I said, the clock management has been horrific. And then you start to think, like, oh, they're just trying to set up something the other way. Like they called a timeout. They were trying a game-winning field goal potentially, and they called a timeout with 20 seconds left.
Right.
And I was like, this is terrible. You can't call a timeout 20 seconds. You got to let it
Listen,
run down.
I sit next to this guy every game, wherever we are, and he is on it when it comes to the clock management and everything like
I feel
that.
like clock management is maybe the most important thing and the most botched thing that happens in the NFL
and,
all the time.
We'll see how that turns out. It was horrendous last year.
Horrendous.
Around here.
And I believe I said on this podcast it was one of my biggest concerns going into the year that clock management was going to be a problem.
And that definitely came to fruition.
It was.
We'll see if
I will say they have a pretty good analytics department, and I think it's better. But to the point, they called a timeout with like 20 seconds left to try a game-winning field goal. I said, that's awful. This is like last year all over again. They're really just giving the other team a chance to try to win. So it made sense at that point.
Adam got mocked on that one. But that's pretty funny because I was actually thinking the same exact thing when it happened. But we had to remind ourselves that they were trying to also create some situations. To the point where Geno hadn't played in a while. But then there was like 2.5 minutes left in the game, and they put him back out there and got a 2-minute drill, operation in, and that ended actually with Geno Smith throwing a 50-yard touchdown pass to Philip Dorsett, and then to create your scenarios, they went for 2. So they ran a 2-point conversion, and it was a kind of a counter RPO where he faked a handoff. I didn't catch who the running back was.
So it was Mostert.
Yeah, to Raheem going to his left. And then Geno kind of just back turned and ran right, outran a couple of defenders into the end zone for a 2-point conversion.
Little controversy on that was I would make the case he was down. I know the defense said he was down, but they allowed him to score. I think you want the good vibes of scoring, right? Because when you're not tackling,
there's no guarantee that he would have gotten tackled. He's a pretty big guy. So, it was 50-50.
Yeah.
For sure. But
when you're not tackling, it's tough to make the determination, like when a guy is actually down.
True, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think the play call was very, very significant in terms of actually, doing that, and it speaks to what Geno Smith brings to the table, quite honestly. A little bit of juice in the legs. But it was his arm today that was, really, really spectacular. Now, okay, no tackling to the ground, as Adam and I talked about. However, there was a pass rush, and the referees, did the best they could. If it was close, they were going to, rule it a sack. So there was actual pass rush. There was actual the cornerbacks and secondary and wide receivers were getting after it all day. So it was a good litmus test in terms of that. And quite honestly, Geno Smith was spectacular. He had 4 drives. All 4 of them ended in touchdowns. 3 drives went into the red zone. He was 3 for 3 on touchdown throws in the red zone. He sprayed the ball all around. Let's list them. He threw it to Ashton Genty. He threw it to Philip Dorsett. He threw it to Dante Thornton, Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, Jacoby Myers. I might be missing somebody. Trey Tucker got a ball thrown to him. He was highly efficient throwing the ball. I think and I wrote about this, the red zone work where he was 3 for 3 converting touchdowns. Obviously, it's just a mock game, and he wasn't going against the first team defense. We might need to make that clear. Yeah. However, if you go back to last year, Geno Smith was bad in the red zone with the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks were one of the worst teams in the NFL in the red zone. I think they averaged 4.5 points per red zone visit, and on top of that, he led the league, Geno, with 4 red zone interceptions. So it's something to think about. I mean, for all the good that Geno Smith brings, and we obviously see it. There's a big improvement at quarterback so far, anyway, from last year. However, there's also concerns, and that was one of the concerns. And we've seen him struggle a little bit in the red zone. I was going to say,
let's also be clear that training camp red zone has been an issue.
Right, it's gotten better.
You know what helps solve red zone issues? Brock Bowers.
Oh man,
I mean, that was where he went the first red zone drive. I think they went. They had 2 downs where they didn't really go anywhere. It looked like it was going to be another failure in the red zone.
Right. 3rd down.
And he finds Brock Bowers on 3rd down. And then the next one, he throws a back shoulder throw to Brock Bowers, which the throw was fine. The catch was amazing. So, I mean, Brock Bowers will help you fix some of those if you give him a chance.
And I'll tell you this. You know who else? Obviously, and we've been talking about this going all the way back, Adam, to minicamp and OTAs. Michael Mayer.
Yeah.
Michael Mayer came up big time on 3 throws. All 3, I think, resulted in first downs. Including a 9-yarder that got a first down and moved the chains. But then there was also a 25-yard gain and an 18-yard gain. It's pretty obvious that Michael Mayer is going to be a part of this, maybe in a way that he hasn't been in his first 2 years with the Raiders. That's pretty significant. They tried to throw long early on to Dante Thornton. There was an overthrow by Geno on one of them up the right sideline. He tried to get back to him in the end zone on a kind of a 50-50 ball. Tip your cap to Cameron Richardson, was right there to make a nice play on the ball. I don't know if I'd have to go back and look at the tape, but I don't know if Dante got his hands on the ball and DeCamerion knocked it out.
It was close. It was great positioning either way.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been, if he could have caught it, again, we were kind of shielded from where we were of whether he could have caught it or not, but if he could have, it would have been very tough anyway. It was great defense, I thought.
So tip your cap to Cameron, who is making his move in the cornerback room. Somebody that a player that ascending, as I pointed out to Pete Carroll a couple days ago, and then so they were 0 for 2. He and Dante Thornton, Geno Smith and Dante Thornton, and then toward the end of the first half, actually the last play of the first half, on a little scramble play. I want to say it was 3rd down, but Geno bought some time. Threw a little bit across his body, found a wide open Dante Thornton in the end zone for the touchdown. So those 2 hooked up today. Point being, there's a lot of weapons. Geno Smith was finding those weapons. And I tweeted this. You can feel Chip Kelly's influence on this offense because, as Adam and I were talking in the press box, it looks different than last year, and Geno Smith is a big reason for that with his accuracy. He's just a better quarterback than Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. But as Adam pointed out, the scheming guys open is a big part of Chip Kelly's business, and we saw some of that business getting taken care of today.
Yeah, the unpredictability. I felt like last year. I mean, again, we haven't gotten to a game yet. This is just a mock game out there, but we see it. There's days in training camp when they go offense versus defense where they don't know what's coming, because usually in training camp you know what the other side's going to run.
Today was not one of those days.
Some of those spots where you just don't know what the other is going to call. You're just kind of making calls on the fly, and they're keeping the defense off balance, and you see that with a lot of calls. That's what Chip Kelly does really, really well. That's what some of the players have talked about. Thayer Munford, don't want to put words in his mouth, but go back and look at some of the comments he made about this offense compared to last year's offense.
Thayer has a way.
He has a way of saying some things. So, but yeah, I think you can clearly see the differences in the offense. And Chip Kelly has, for a long time, been a very, very, very good offensive coordinator as a head coach. And Thayer Munford also said this, which I was kind of surprised by. He's got a bit of a reputation as a head coach. Maybe he's more of an offensive coordinator, but he's a very, very good offensive coordinator. That's why the Raiders paid him a lot of money to leave college and come run this offense where Pete Carroll and Patrick Graham have the defense locked down. And they said, we need somebody to run that offense. Chip Kelly was their guy, and there's good reason for that. And you can see that in action out on the field.
Yeah, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this. There were probably 3 or 4 plays where, and we've seen this in training camp, where they go empty, no running backs. There is a running back on the field. His name is Ashton Genty oftentimes, and he lines out wide. And they go 4, right? Along with the tight end, 4 literal pass weapons, pretty much at or on or near the line of scrimmage. They had a couple big plays out of that today. When Adam talks about the versatility and the schemes and all the different looks, that's one of those looks that's kind of catching my eye.
Yeah, and I know one play in particular we talked about, and I think that might be one of the ones you're referencing, where I would come out of that play more concerned with the defense, because the offense.
Oh yeah.
The offense came out, lined up in a really in a good formation, as you said. It went empty backfield. They had Ashton Genty out wide. They moved Brock Bowers kind of into a slot, a tight slot, and he was right there. And then the solution for the defense, which wasn't in a great – they weren't in a great package right there. Yeah. They didn't have the right personnel on the field, which, again, the offense caught them in that, so credit to the offense. But the defense ends up basically with a one-on-one matchup between defensive end Charles Snowden and Brock Bowers. Right. Charles Snowden has no chance. I think Charles Snowden's a good player. Yeah, he has no chance of covering Brock Bowers. And what Brock Bowers did is abused him at the line of scrimmage, got wide open down the middle of the field, and picked up a lot of yards. Yeah. And so great job by the offense. Great job by Chip Kelly scheming that in. But you can't assume that a defense is going to get caught in that. And if you're the Raiders, you look at that and say, we don't like that substitution. We don't like the personnel we had on the field. We can't get caught like that. So a learning lesson for them. And score one for the offense for getting that matchup. Yeah, and without a doubt, the defense is going to look at that and say that can't ever happen again. However, I will say this: I'm recalling that play as we're talking about it. They didn't line up that way initially, and I'm going to give some credit to Geno Smith for kind of seeing what was going on. Yeah. And so he came back and did a whatever alert that he gives, where now all of a sudden they moved into that formation and created that mismatch as a result. And you saw Snowden stand up and look around like, guys, yes, what are we doing here? Keep that one in your Adam laughs when I say the tickler file, but keep that one. Just remember that, because I'm going to predict and just go on record, there's going to come a time, because that's Chip Kelly scheming that, but it's also Geno Smith recognizing, hey, we may get it if we do if we move into the formation that I'm going to check into, it might create that mismatch that we're looking for, and that's what football is all about. Yeah. It's figuring that out sometimes on the fly. I thought Geno Smith did a good job of realizing where Charles Snowden was lined up and forcing him to have to now defend an undefendable player, basically, especially if you're Charles Snowden, and capitalizing on that. So something to keep an eye on. Yeah, for sure. I think credit to the offense, concerning for the defense, but again, that's why you do these mock games. By the way, that's why you have these these formats where you go out and say, all right, what can we learn? What can we pick up? And I'm sure they're watching the film right now. They're probably back at the facility. Mm-hmm. It said now it's about 45 minutes since the game ended. Yeah. They're probably back in the facility right now watching film of what happened and trying to figure out plays like that of, all right, what did the offense do right? What did the defense do wrong? And move forward and try to learn from that. Agreed. All right, so a couple other points that we want to hit on. Well, it looks like Jordan Meredith, we just continue to say this, it looks like he's got, at least for now, pretty firm control of the starting center job. He was back with the starters today, or I should just say continued to be the starter today. I want to say this is his fourth or maybe fifth straight day lining up with the starters at center. That might be a closed deal. We'll see. There's always next week, and we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll look at the film and not like what they see. I can't imagine that they will. But there was a rough snap early on, but I think he might have settled down. Yes, and there was also the high one. Yeah. All right. So, but for the most part, at least through now, it seems to be trending in the direction of Jordan Meredith as a starting center. What does that mean for Jackson Powers Johnson? Well, he was back with the starters at right guard to start the first drive with the first team today. But then when the first team offense came back on the field on the second drive, it was Alex Kappa, and that started kind of a rotation for them. It got a little sketchy there. It was kind of like a high school all-star baseball game where guys are coming in and out. So lose a little bit of track, but at least for those first few, there was a rotation at right guard. So once again, Jackson Powers Johnson on alert, on notice, whatever the case might be, he's having to fight for his starting job here. Yeah, I think there's a lot of battles that are still going on. That's certainly one of them for sure, one that we're monitoring every single day. And the thing that struck me the most today was Jordan Meredith talked to the media afterwards. And I've talked to Jordan Meredith a lot the last couple of years, and I have too. But every time I've talked to him, it's been kind of just me and him talking, and and he's so polite and so nice about it. There was a group of about 30 reporters around him. It looked like maybe 20, whatever it was. Can I just say to real quick? To put that all in perspective real quick, and I'll let you get your thought. As I'm walking, couple media people go, who was that? So Jordan, we oftentimes we're talking to him
just one-on-one.
Yeah, and he's been here for a couple years, so you should probably know who he is. But
this is his 4th year.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, to the fact that you've talked to him, and then all of a sudden he's got all this attention around him. I'm sure not something he loved or was comfortable with. But he's such a good, such a polite kid, and I'm sure he was kind of a little bit looking around like, whoa, this is new,
right?
Because he's not new to the NFL, but he's certainly new to that attention.
Jalen Smith had a press conference as well.
I think it was like a 25-minute.
That was a long one. So good for him, and I know he is cherishing this opportunity to kind of get back into the NFL. Any other thoughts that you had?
Yeah, I mean, I thought certainly things that have popped up in training camp showed themselves again today. I thought one of my favorite plays of the day was an incompletion, but it was Darian Porter against Jack Besh, kind of a long throw to the end zone, just one-on-one matchup. Go up and fight for the ball. Darren Porter, great coverage on the play. Jack Besh didn't really have a chance to catch it, but that was good. And Besh had a couple of catches for himself too, for sure. So yeah, I mean, those are the kind of things I like looking for. Those matchups, those individuals, and guys that are just fighting and competing. And that was a good play to me. That one stood out. Of all right, that was those two rookies in the stadium. Where they're going to play for a while. Kind of going head to head. That was a fun play, I thought, to watch.
Look, no question, there was a great atmosphere here with the fans. That's what Pete Carroll wanted, and that's why he urged the fans to come out today. But there was another big fan. It's not even a fan, actually. It's somebody that's very prominent in this organization for the second straight day. The one and only Tom Brady, the Raiders' new minority owner, and somebody that has a big voice in this organization, was at the mock game today. He was over in Henderson yesterday, keeping an eye on things. The players get a pretty big kick out of that, without question. Pete Carroll got a big kick out of that. I asked him about Tom Brady. Here's Pete Carroll talking about that presence.
It's hard to describe, honestly. He was with us and met with us a little bit yesterday. And just to see the look in the guy's eyes, and his ability to capture them as well. He's a great asset to us, and I can't say enough about that.
So if you haven't had a chance to get the app yet, again, we still have the $50 no-worry wager available. What a great time to get in the summer. Get yourself familiar with the app. The auto racing, horse racing, the golf,
women's softball,
the MMA. Whatever you're interested in, check out the STN Sports app.
All right, so, obviously those of us who cover the Raiders understand that Tom Brady is here. We understand the significance that he has in this organization, kind of a tone-setting. I'll put it this way. I don't think Pete Carroll is here without Tom Brady also being here. So that aside, to see him, and we've been writing about it. I've been covering that story for a long time, for more than 2 years, basically. I knew it was coming. Here it is. But it certainly puts it in perspective when you see Tom Brady in his Raiders hoodie and his Raiders hat.
That kind of lit the internet on fire yesterday.
Yeah.
I think there's still like a lack of understanding from people that this is happening and that this is a real thing. Mm-hmm. Everybody kind of knows. It's not news that he's a minority owner. But the internet was kind of lit up yesterday. It was trending on social media saying, why is Brady wearing Raiders shirt and hat? Like, well, because he's a minority owner of the team.
He owns part of the team.
And people are like, isn't he still a broadcaster? Yes, he is.
Yeah.
And I do still think it's a problem, but it is what it is. That's
it's
what
only
it is.
a problem if the NFL feels it's a problem. It's their league. They make the rules.
Sure.
Trust me, I've learned that one a long time ago.
Sure. But fans were just kind of still blown away by it yesterday. Of this is crazy.
That's flown on the radar with some fans.
Yeah.
It's actually a very significant thing here with the Raiders. Again, I don't think Pete Carroll is here without the presence of Tom Brady and the other part owners that have come into this organization. It's a pretty powerful group that Mark Davis has aligned himself with. It was years in the working, quite honestly, and something that Mark Davis wanted to do. Money aside, he could have sold it to a whole bunch of people, a portion of the team. There was strategic reasons why he brought these particular people into the fold, Tom Brady included, and I think we're kind of feeling it. It feels a little this training camp, this team, this organization. It feels different now compared to years past.
Yeah, I think Pete Carroll's a big part of that, but obviously those people around Brady and my consistent banging the drum for John Spytek being one of the most important hires of any team this entire offseason. So
yes,
I think it's I think it is different. There was also a lot of Patriots fans obviously a little upset the fact that this coming weekend is the unveiling of the Tom Brady statue in Foxborough, which they are not doing week 1 when the Raiders play the Patriots because Tom Brady will be elsewhere working, which is another part of this. So but 12-foot statue of Tom Brady being unveiled this coming weekend.
Big.
It's pretty tall.
Yeah. That's not a Allen Iverson statue. I'll tell you that right now.
No, but also probably will look more like Brady than the Iverson one, and certainly the Cristiano Ronaldo statue, which to me is still my favorite statue of all time.
Yes, it is. Are you saying this is going to be a chiseled Tom Brady?
I would imagine. Yeah, I think it's probably.
He's always chiseled.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so that's going to wrap it up here from Allegiant Stadium. Hard to believe, but we'll be back in here in a couple of weeks when the Raiders play their home opener preseason game against the San Francisco 49ers. Keep in mind, Wednesday, I think it's next Thursday, the Raiders will have a joint practice against the 49ers ahead of their game on Saturday here at Allegiant Stadium. The Raiders have an off day on Sunday. They're back at it on Monday, and that starts game week. And the Raiders are going up to Seattle to play the Seahawks in a real, actual game. Adam and I will be there. We can't wait. I want to say thanks to the Las Vegas Review-Journal. I want to say thanks to Station Casinos, STN Sports. I want to say thanks to our producer, Heidi Feng. I want to say thanks to all the fans that have been on this journey with us. We really appreciate it. You're why we do this. Keep hitting the like button, the subscribe button, all those buttons. We're here for you, and we're happy to do it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll check back in with you on Monday.